So Didier Deschamps has made it absolutely official. The 2026 World Cup in North America is going to be his final tournament as head coach of the French national team. We are literally watching the end of an era here. But listen, Deschamps is not going out quietly. No way. He's built this hyper-pragmatic, insanely athletic roster designed specifically to survive some truly extreme summer climates and the newly expanded tournament bracket. I mean, think about it. They'll be flying huge distances across North America, potentially playing in grueling 90-degree heat, and facing a whole extra match just to reach the final. The physical toll is going to be unprecedented. So in today's explainer, we're going to decode exactly how Deschamps plans to manage that brutal gauntlet and make his final dance a victorious one. But to really understand where this team is heading, we kind of have to look at what they've lost. The sheer scale of roster turnover since their 2018 win, and even their 2022 run, is massive. We're talking about a France without Hugo Lloris anchoring the goal, and crucially, absolutely no Antoine Griezmann. Griezmann wasn't just a player, he was the heartbeat of Deschamps' entire system for a decade. The guy was covering an impossible 11 kilometers a game, orchestrating the defense and flawlessly linking the midfield to the attack. He was the ultimate safety blanket. So the really big question driving this explainer today is, can this totally new iteration of France actually win it all without the veteran orchestrator who literally defined their modern success? Okay, let's dive into our structural blueprint for France's 2026 tactical setup. We'll be looking at 1. The generational shift, 2. Maximizing Captain Kylian Mbappé, 3. Rising stars like Michael Olise, 4. Maignan and the defensive trap, and finally, 5. Their actual World Cup 2026 prospects. Alright, kicking things off with part 1, the generational shift. Let's see how this squad is physically transforming to make up for losing those massive veteran players. It is fascinating to see how Deschamps has completely abandoned the intricate, passing-heavy style that defined his older French teams. He used to have Griezmann seamlessly linking the lines, right? But with that huge creative void now, Deschamps actually chose not to replace him with a similar type of player. Instead, he's packed the middle of the pitch with this incredibly direct, battle-hardened pivot, relying on absolute physical powerhouses like Aurélien Tchouameni and Eduardo Camavinga. This new France doesn't want to slowly break down defenses with 50 precise passes. They've adopted a totally brutalist approach. They just want to win massive physical duels, completely command the center of the pitch, and immediately launch the ball forward using sheer vertical speed. Which brings us to part 2, maximizing Captain Kylian Mbappé. Let's look at how that brutalist midfield shift directly changes things for the man wearing the armband. For years, Mbappé was just devastating as an isolated left winger. He'd get the ball in wide open spaces and just absolutely terrify fullbacks with his world-class acceleration. But for 2026, if you're expecting to see him hugging the touchline, well, you're gonna need to adjust your expectations. He is increasingly playing as a central striker now, operating much closer to the goal. And sure, maybe that means fewer of those magical open field sprints, but strategically, it's a brilliant tactical pivot. First off, you're putting the world's most lethal finisher in prime scoring positions. And second, it totally saves him from having to make those exhausting 50-yard defensive tracking runs in the sweltering North American heat. Now, moving him centrally hasn't been without its media scrutiny, especially regarding his overall form leading up to the tournament. But Deschamps has been publicly unwavering. He stated flat out that the team is always stronger with Mbappé in the squad. And when you look at the tactical data, you see exactly why. Opponents are absolutely terrified of him operating centrally. They will literally rip up their defensive schemes and build walls just to double mark him in the middle. And when 2 defenders are completely glued to Mbappé, it opens up massive pockets of space everywhere else on the pitch for the rest of the squad to exploit. And let's just remind ourselves why he gets that unprecedented level of respect. Mbappé currently sits at 12 career World Cup goals. Just let that sink in for a second. 12. He needs just 5 more goals in this 2026 tournament to break Miroslav Klose's all-time record of 16. Klose took 4 entire tournaments to hit that mark. Mbappé is poised to completely shatter it in his third. With Deschamps putting him centrally as the ultimate protected finisher, that all-time record isn't just vulnerable right now, it is in severe imminent danger. Okay, part 3, the rising stars, specifically looking at Michael Olise. Because obviously Mbappé cannot do it all by himself. So France is deploying this phenomenal new youth engine to feed him the ball. Just take a look at the sheer volume of talent in this fluid front four. You got Ousmane Dembele, Desiré Doué, Bradley Barcola, and crucially Bayern Munich's Michael Olise. Looking at Olise's qualifying numbers, the whole offensive scheme really clicks into place. These guys bring a tactical fluidity heavily inspired by Paris Saint-Germain. What makes a player like Olise so incredibly vital is his directness and creative crossing. They create this asymmetric width, basically overloading one side of the pitch to draw the defenders in, and then bam, they hit the opposition with lightning-fast switches of play. It's constant, it's dizzying, and it's designed to completely disorient the opponent to ultimately supply Mbappé right in the center. And this leads us right into the foundational secret of France's 2026 blueprint, the rest attack strategy. Here's how this actually functions. Basically, the rest of the team runs themselves into the absolute ground so Mbappé doesn't have to. Young stars like Olise and Doué work incredibly hard off the ball in the counterpress. Their relentless, lung-burning defensive work buys their captain the freedom to essentially ignore deep defensive duties. He gets to rest while the youth engine presses. That means the exact millisecond France wins the ball back, Mbappé is fully charged, bursting with energy, and already waiting in explosive open space. Which brings us to part 4, Maignan and the defensive trap. Because, you can't have a lethal counterattack without a rock-solid anchor at the back. The post-Hugo Lloris era belongs entirely to Mike Maignan. He has absolutely locked down that number 1 spot. But to really get this tactical setup, you have to realize Maignan isn't just an elite shot stopper. His distribution is actually the secret weapon that initiates France's entire build-up play. He operates almost like a deep-lying playmaker, just wearing gloves. While opponents are desperately trying to press the defenders, Maignan is back there calmly pinging these 60-yard line-breaking passes that completely bypass the opponent's first wave of pressure. It instantly flips defense into attack. However, the defensive line operating in front of Maignan has been dealing with some real-time tension. Just days before their tournament opener, the French Football Federation put out a statement that critical Arsenal center back William Saliba was missing training due to lingering back issues. Why does that matter so much? Well, France's system heavily relies on playing a high line, basically trusting their center backs to win isolated one-on-one battles during opposing counterattacks. If Saliba is out, that one-on-one dominance vanishes, and the structural integrity of their whole trap becomes deeply, deeply vulnerable. But assuming that backline is fully healthy, they use this brilliant piece of psychological warfare called positional provocation. Here's how it works. France will often drop one fullback deep to form a temporary back 3 alongside their midfield pivot, and then they just wait. It's meant to look disorganized and vulnerable, entirely on purpose. They are literally baiting the opposing team, daring them to step out of their defensive shape and come press the ball. They actively want you to attack them, because the second you take that bait, the trap snaps shut. France starts by slowly dropping into a highly compact mid-block, waiting patiently for a specific trigger, maybe a slightly heavy touch or a slow pass from the opposition. And then boom, the entire team violently squeezes the space all at once. They hunt in packs. The very moment they force that turnover, they launch the ball with blistering vertical speed to those wide rising stars like Olise, and they are instantly off to the races. Alright, wrapping up with part 5, World Cup 2026 prospects. Let's see how all this tactical theory actually translates to concrete results. We've talked a lot about this shift away from the beautiful game, leaning hard into this pragmatism versus beauty narrative. Well, if you want proof that Deschamps' brutalist approach actually works, look no further than their unbeaten qualifying run. 16 goals scored, only 4 conceded across 6 matches. They really don't care about dominating the possession stats, they only care about dominating the scoreboard. It might not always be flowing, poetic football, but it is a mathematically devastating utility knife of a team built purely to grind out victories. Their actual path starts in Group I, and it's definitely not going to be a walk in the park. They opened up against a really physical Senegal side, over New Jersey. Then they faced Norway, who obviously feature the terrifying attacking threat of Erling Haaland, which, by the way, is exactly why Maignan and Saliba's health has to be flawless. Finally, they wrap up against Iraq. It's a group that's going to immediately test those defensive transition vulnerabilities right out of the gate. And the betting markets are totally validating Deschamps' new blueprint. At 5-1, France are massive favorites to win the whole thing outright. Mbappé at 7-1 for the Golden Boot makes perfect sense, justifying his new centralized role. But check this out, Michael Olise sitting at 8-1 for player of the tournament, that is a wild insight. He's practically a newcomer to this stage, yet the odds makers clearly believe this new generation of youth isn't just there to support the veterans, but potentially outshine them entirely. So Deschamps has meticulously built a team defined by vertical speed, rest attack strategies, and sheer physical domination. But the really big question lingering over all of this, If they face a stubborn, deep-sitting defense that simply refuses to take the bait and press them, will the glaring absence of a traditional playmaker like Griezmann leave them completely out of ideas? Is this pragmatic, hyper-athletic squad the ultimate evolution of World Cup football, or is it going to be a bridge too far for Deschamps' final dance? We'll just have to wait and see how it all unfolds.